I was struggling. I'm just sitting here in catharsis. Not even catharsis, paralysis. Like my brain is just mush. And there are all these different themes that is just continuously going through my mind. Makes me want to cry, to be honest. But I feel completely apathic too, so there's that. I just came home from the courts, actually. I haven't been there since I was there last time. It was to sign a affidavit so that I could send my daughter with my partner to Chile. The last time I did that, they were deported. This time, luckily, it's not. But I came home and I don't know. In the car, I was sitting. I usually sit in the back seat for some reason. My daughter likes to sit up front. She gets nauseous really quickly, so I sit in the back seat and I just try to relax. But I can't. I have all these different things in my head all the fucking time, and they're all based on the same thing currently. And not at all, because they all they all take place at the same time. This month has been brutal in terms of what has come up at the same time. All these different pivots and changes and just instability and uncertainty and fucking necessity to be present in situations where it's draining you more than you have when you already didn't have more to give. And then after the situations, after these gatherings, after these entanglements of energies, people reach out afterwards and they send different messages because now all of a sudden they had something to ask for or whatever the case may be. Maybe even just a, hey, sorry about the thing. I was exhausted before. We're almost done though. Today is the 30th of December 2024. But as I was sitting there in the car, the mother of my child said that she hadn't eaten, wanted to eat out, go to a cafe or something. Just wherever, you know. I think she spoke for a little while before I caught on that they were talking to me, but when I snapped out of the trance I was in, just thinking about how, what, it's so fucking tempting to go back to the old ways where I was a robber and I just robbed people, where I could break into a house, where I could sell something illegal to get money because money was easy. Getting money was easy. But for the last 13 years, has it been 13 years? For the last 13 years, I have been really making my every single bit of effort in making money legally. Making money the way everyone should make money, you know. But something clearly have not happened. Something clearly has not clicked. I don't know what it is, and this is why I'm sitting in this situation. Because we have gone through this journey of the last half a decade to find certain things. And as we found those things, We acted on the feedback of everyone who saw what we found, and we adapted and we created and we made changes and we perfected and we tweaked and we crystallized and we clarified and we built and we innovated and we did a whole fuck ton of things. And then we learned more, you know. But we created something that hasn't existed before. And it has been very hard to communicate that, especially because of the simplicity of it all, because of how paradoxically simple it was. Sometimes it seems like that is what it is. And because of that, one would think that people would actually pay for it. Very few did. And the few that did, even though they paid more money than most people would pay normally for something, and this for transformation, which they got in spades, it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to keep things going. You know, there is a whole science to the income and output and all that stuff. The input and the income and the expenses and the economics of it all. I hate that shit. Some people love it. I know Dalton loves it. I can't stand it. For me, it has always been a fucking quagmire. Quagmire. It's been a fucking pit, a tar pit. It's been a topic that I really do not have a lot of positive associations with at all, because, you know, not many people have had their name on a bill that said $4 million to be paid in 2 weeks after having this bill handed to you. Money has always been a very interesting topic for me in my life. And because we deal with the things we do, oftentimes people who are in situations that are not optimal reach out, and they don't have the money often. They need to be lifted up. And I am not one to just, you know, show people the door if they can't pay, so I've been giving. And when that whole sustainability of energy out and energy in was not there at all, after a few years of doing so, my realities start to crack. Don't get me wrong, I'm still living a freer life than probably 99% of the people on this planet, I feel like, given how the status quo and how everything is. I talk to fuck tons of people and I get fuck tons of experiences and perspectives, and I travel a lot, so I see how people are. But even though I do those things, I'm also chained by a few things that is very hard to just tweak or adapt to this normal world that we're all living in. So I've always had to create some sort of a hybrid so that it is possible to do these things. But now it has come down to the energetic levels that I have left, and I don't have any. I don't have any energy left. I'm like, this is the paradox of burnout. Like, when everything is so ready, how fucking stupidly hard it has been to do those simple things that every fucking business do every single day with no apparent reason or no apparent problem doing it. Because people don't view money the way I see money. And it's so fucking weird. It's so fucking weird. I'm at that point where I feel like I want to cry all the fucking time. Like, there's a lot that wants to get out. And I can't get it out. This is where it's so interesting when you're giving space to other people and they don't seem to be able to provide the same space. Makes sense. Fucking hate Facebook. I hate Facebook. Seriously, one of the most toxic things ever created. And everyone is so dependent on it because without it, many people don't communicate at all. Fucking pin codes 19,000 times every day because you want to be connected to your chats? What the fuck? I need to fucking shave. I've been thinking a lot about what happened a year ago. Because last year, on this day, I had visitors. I picked this person up December 25th, 2023, and he stayed here. We celebrated New Year's Eve together, and I had him mingle with my family, basically. I gave him food, I gave him shelter, I gave him an office, I gave him a lot of access to different things. Basically, just included him in the fold, just because I trusted what he said. Every day he meditated for hours, always trying to raise himself up energetically. Also, while doing so, taking my energy to vibe higher, I guess. I have things on camera said by him that really fucks up with my head because after he was here, he basically just pulled out in the middle of a situation, a severe situation where I had to deliver something 8 hours from my house, also known as the Black Pearl, a car. That car was also attached to a different person who shared the same things, the same non-awareness. And I don't think they really realized what that did to me because, first of all, the guy with the car, there was a oral deal that took place a few days prior where we were sitting at his house. Not a few days, maybe a month prior. We were sitting at his house and we were talking about things and had plans, had meetings. I worked from my remote office and I was doing my thing. I paid him about 2,000 euros that month. I've never been in Asia, but I paid for his ticket to travel to Thailand. It was part of this plan. I sent him equipment, a GoPro Max, very new, never really used, which he kind of fucked up early on by dunking it in water and shit. Not the point though. It cost me a lot of money. And the people around me knew about this. Everyone knew about this. Everyone was very positive in everything until things didn't work out as one should expect. Because there were things and details that were left out because one was trying to be mystical about it. And while not doing the things that were agreed, not owning up to what has been said, and not really being the person they portrayed themselves as, they couldn't own up to what they had promised, so that the plan could actually work. And this resulted in a lot of work, a lot of detours, and a lot of new pivots and necessity to adapt. And while this was going on, my team, the person who had been living here, had not only gone into a project that was now 6 years old, it was something that has been created from the 6 years of my journey that led up to that point. Saga. He felt like he could do Saga better, so he went in and started to tweak and make new videos and rearrange everything, and he felt like that's what we should do. He kind of took charge of Legacy Digital at that point, which was a good thing. It allowed me to release my shoulders or just breathe a little bit. I thought that he was doing what he said he was going to do. After he had completely changed everything about the product, a product that he had not even done, a product that he had completed 4 videos of out of 100. After all that, I had to go deliver this car under immense amounts of pressure. Now from this guy that I paid to have a vacation in Thailand. And the mafia was introduced to my life for the first time. Didn't even know there was any of those people in Norway. But you learn. Deliver the car in the best way I could. And on my journey back down, this person who lived at my house, but whom had traveled out to do some stuff that he said he was going to do on behalf of Legacy Digital and everything that we were doing. He had gone on to this journey, and he was kind of complaining on the meetings that we had about the situation, and very, very, very victimized. I still can't believe that those conversations took place, but it didn't take long until there was a conversation inside of the team where the guy in Thailand fell out with the person who lived here, who is now traveling the country, and was heading to a third person who had been recruited, one might say. A business owner who were supposed to be a facilitator of yogic or yoga practices and different breathing exercises, and a healer on the team. We were setting up these events, we were setting up a lot of resources, we were creating a whole bunch of things. Things that also this guy had taken very much advantage of, selling things on his own behalf with that toolkit that I had paid God knows how much money for. And so he left. And after this fallout that he called in a emergency general or emergency meeting with the team on a Saturday when I had my kids, and we had strict rules that we were not supposed to work during the weekends because I work already way too much. I always felt bad for being in the office when I had my kids, for instance. So we tried to minimize that as much as possible, but no. He had to call in this emergency meeting, and it was basically about how to deal with this person who is reacting in a way that I don't like based on what I'm telling him. And he was being a knight in shining armor. This new person who came in as a facilitator, and the guy that lived at my place, kind of joined forces and dropped out both of them from the Legacy Forge. They didn't vibe with the energy. Meanwhile, I hadn't done shit but sitting here and seeing how they were communicating with each other and falling out with each other and not being able to kind of fix what they had fucked up. Nobody really realized what this was doing to me, though, because nobody asked. It didn't take long until he ended up at the place where this facilitator lived, and he stayed there for a little bit. And then not long after, they were engaged, and now they're expecting a child. And he set up a business on the West Coast that was very similar to what he kind of failed at while under my roof when he jumped ship the first time, which happened. And then he came back with songs and a lot of tears because he knew he fucked up. But he did that. He left everything again. Took her, wrote some stuff on Messenger about how he's not vibing and how he didn't appreciate me using his face in promotional material for myself and the business. Because I used a video where he was, for the first time ever, acknowledging the fact that I had helped at all on his journey. He actually, when I picked him up the 25th of December, he came from Asia, where he previously earned about 20,000 euros per month selling solar panel marketing solutions for that industry. And it was interesting for me sitting there, knowing what I've given him and seeing how he was reacting based on what has happened and how much he didn't see of the context. He sent that as a matter of fact and hasn't opened the messenger after that. He didn't even care to see any response from me, even though I hadn't almost talked to him prior to this. It's like when those worlds we create in our heads just start to take shape and become reality, because that's how it is, And meanwhile, I was sitting here just seeing everything crumble and fall. Because he had created something he called Legacy Digital, as I mentioned, and fixed and tweaked everything in the Legacy Forge until he dropped a nuclear bomb in the team communication and dropped out. I was so in the red. It was insane. But I chose to just carry on and do the thing and keep working. I think people started to see that shit was hard. And the people who saw remained, and we worked hard together to try to rectify all this, to get back into balance. Time passed, and we started to see that we were able to rebuild it to some degree. And when I had my energy back, also to some degree, I began doing the things again, and I had Kyle over from the US, and we had a week of adventure that led straight into another adventure with someone who came in for a very specific reason. We have been doing these things for years. We have been creating these things for years, and we are a known name in the industry, me personally and the Legacy Forge. And because of that, because of the fact that we also run the biggest group in Scandinavia on psychedelic mushrooms, Liberty Caps, Psilocybes melanceata, like 13,000 people is not something to be just scoffed away at. So people find us for different reasons. He came because he wanted to create a retreat center. A retreat center in the world. Didn't really matter where. He had very specific ideas for this. And we knew that we could help him create it because we have the marketing skills, and we have the name, and we have the network, and we had the technology, resources, the experience from the psychedelic aspect of it. There were so many things that we were in possession of that this person was not. And it was also part of a continuation of a relationship that kind of started while this freeloader was here at my place, because we were at a business retreat with the car that I had to deliver back. But we drove to a sanctuary, to be honest, far up in the mountains. I brought my son. He was part of this adventure, and he saw something of life that he really didn't have as reference before. We went dog sledding, and his life changed, as did mine, you know. So we had already met once. We had talked some, but the team had changed. And also back in the day, when we did that trip, back in the day, it was fucking early 2024, you know, it's not that far off, but something didn't match there as well. There's something about the communication every time. I was starting to wonder, is it me? Because I feel like I've been very clear for a long time, but there is a pattern as well. I'm gonna get to that. But after we came back and he said, well, no, that's not what I want. This is what I want. That is not what I want. This is what you have, and this is like he assumed a lot. And I figured I'm not gonna fuck with this. God damn. Yeah, all right. So you do you, I do me, and then if you want, maybe you should start at the first level instead of trying to jump to the final and the third, the current final and the third, which was epic. Maybe you should just start a saga. You know, saga is a very affordable thing in your situation, and based on what I've seen so far, you would really benefit from it because it's like based on experience and many, many years of doing the things that he wanted to do. So I sent that over, and things got quiet for quite a long time until he reached back out because, you know, I haven't stopped. I don't stop. I continue to create and I continue to do the things that we have done now for a long time. And so he reached out again. He wanted now to do it again. He wanted epic. And I said, "Are you sure? Because it's not really what you think it is, I think." But we agreed that he was going to come up to my house again, like where I had the freeloader. And he was here for quite a few days. We had an adventure. I showed him the sights. I showed him what I'm thinking about doing, what I have been doing, what we are doing on every event. I took him through a very light version of that, and he said that he loved every single bit of it. And I was like, oh shit. And then you're gonna die when we show you what we actually want to show you. But I had learned. So I continued to do the logistics and the practical things on the back end, and we, for the first time ever, formed a draft of a contract that was going to help us and communicate, you know. But because we don't do things as many people do, we also wrote the contract in a way that is very aligned with what we stand for, energetically as well as practicality and, you know, legally and all that stuff. And for some reason, he responded with this Anunnaki communication, all that stuff. Like, it was so specific that it was kind of scary. And some people tend to react differently when those things happen, it seems. But after that, it just continued. A whole bunch of different new assumptions continued. And it was like he was having a conversation with himself. Like, we had successfully triggered that thing that is going to be the main focus of fixing for our duration into Epic. Because if you don't know where you're going, if you don't know what you're going to work on, how the fuck are you going to work on it? Most people say what they want to have, but they don't really go into what they need. And when those things are deeper, I guess, if they are shadow aspects that you haven't worked on, it's hard to communicate that in something that you would say, yes, I want that. I need that. Personal experience. We don't normally see our own flaws to the extent where we know exactly how to fix them, because if we did, we wouldn't have the flaws in the first place. So the contract triggered the fuck out of him, and he started to just attack. He went in full attack mode. And before I had a chance to respond, he had already talked for quite some time and shared quite a few perspectives and thoughts, which just showed a lot from all perspectives. And I think he also saw that himself. So in many cases, he might have gotten more results in that conversation with himself than he would in any coaching container that I have ever seen. Because when you get aware of things, the seed is planted. You have to be very arrogant and ignorant and narcissistic in order to just look past them, you know? So I figured this is a great fucking start. This is good. This is a win. But he had other plans. He just bailed out. He just pulled out of everything without ever talking to anyone. He just left that server. He left that community. He left this conversation, you know? And when people do that, who am I to stop them? Because if you're not willing to just say, I have a question about this, instead of saying, oh, you're Anunnaki and you're trying to cast a witch spell on me, or whatever you have you. Or maybe you're sitting here on a high horse and looking at other people not agreeing with how they're living their life experience compared to how you want them to live yours because you found the answers. There are many ways to see it. The main point that I want to make is that I don't really chase people when they just fuck off. Because if you vibe on a higher level than most people, if you're happier, just this, if you're happier, if you're more adaptable, if you're able to stand in chaos and other people are getting pissed because of your ability to do so, or whatever have you, maybe just you being calm. Sometimes silence, just me shutting the fuck up, not saying anything, has created results. People have been, same thing as when he had a conversation with himself. They will start to lash out sometimes. And when they do, they're pointing towards very specific things in themselves. It's fucking fascinating. It's when you're basically lashing out because of pain or a trigger, truth comes out in a way that I have never seen anything other do before it. Like, just silence as a power is insane. It's completely out of this world. It is a magical thing that most people seem to not really know about. At least most people around me currently. I hope that there are fucking millions and billions of people who are just in the same awareness. Because there is, to be honest, too much to say about that topic. If you're sitting in a room and you're doing a psychedelic experience and you are two people, or three maybe, and you are going into these metaphysical realms and you're completely silent while other people are just screaming out of the top of their lungs because they don't want to face whatever is being presented to them, and then they're like, how the fuck can you be sitting this calm? Assuming that your reality is exactly as they are, or as they are seeing theirs. It's fucking fascinating. But silence has done shit for me the last month at least, like concentrated amounts this month, because I haven't been able to do anything. As I was saying, after I had Kyle from the US and I had this person coming in to kind of the prelude to Epic, where he had gone in for the commitment, but he didn't commit. That's a whole different story, but we have different protocols in Epic to ensure and to make complete certain that the person coming into this know what they're doing, are willing to do what is necessary, and are actually walking their talk. Because if they don't, they're kind of going to be pushed out by themselves. They're going to qualify themselves, and it can be quite a process. But after he left, I had now wasted a lot of energy and time and resources. And as he went on to the next leg of his adventure, when I dropped him off at the bus station, 15 minutes later, the website went down. TheLegacyForge.com ceased to exist on that day. I believe it was the 4th or 5th of September. It was a harrowing few hours because I've never felt this nauseous in my life. When I was driving towards my son's school to pick him up, And I looked down on my phone, and my phone said, Tor at the FML project, can't log in. Tor at torseppola.com, can't log in. Tor at thelegacyforge.com, can't log in. All these different email addresses. And I had a lot. I had like 14 emails on my phone. Don't. That's all I can say about that. It was a blessing in disguise. But all of a sudden, I see these notifications on my phone, and I see that nothing is being accessed. And then I go into the legacyforge.com, and it says this site has been suspended. And I go into torseppola.com, suspended. All the different sites. And again, I have like 13, 14 sites under this account. So I'm going in and I'm seeing that all of them are suspended. I'm like, fuck. A lot of things has made it very necessary to prioritize different things like survival. And when something like that is all of a sudden in need of attention, and you don't have any means of fixing it at all, and kind of this whole thing is also the business. Like the store that I was making my income from is basically in this suspended cataclysm. I didn't quite know what to do at all. I started to communicate with people after having a few days to think, send out a few videos, had to pivot a lot, talked to Dalton on the team and Vibestar and all the different people that I had in my inner circles about how do we do this. Not long after, Dalton comes up with a brilliant idea, which was to create a static site from a new domain. So we go off from the legacyforge.com into the legacyforge.net. That was a process. So we get the domain. He manages to set up a self-hosted in-house server, and we have a static site. And then all of a sudden, he starts to figure out different things in terms of technology. And he is able to create a dynamic site, which means that we can do exactly what we can do with the other sites, but we can now do it better because we have more experience. But this is also part of a system that is completely in-house. Everything. Like, we own everything. That means that there are no other companies that can go in and look at your stuff or sell your information or peek into conversations or whatever have you. We can do all of it because we own all of it, which means that we can nuke it if we need to. And Dalton is special. So he continues to innovate and he continues to create new technology. And all of a sudden we are able to create whatever we need. He's looking at these old elements of what we did, and he said, well, we can actually do that now on ourselves. We can create that. And I was like, fuck, that opens up quite a lot. Yes, it does. Time went by, and we now had something that was not only kind of equivalent to what we had, but even better. But my energy was tapped, completely tapped. And it continued, you know. It was like, now was the time to really get tested by the universe, by everything. Because I've always tried to just make sure that I stay afloat, and then it seems like other people are able to better stay afloat as well when I don't sink. But last year, after all this, it has been a domino effect that just continued to give and give and give and give and give. And now we're 1 year after all this has happened. And I'm at the point where everything is kind of laid out to do anything. All we need to do is just say, here it is. Although there are still a few minor instabilities in terms of that. The website is now not a website anymore, as far as I'm considered, or as far as I'm concerned, but it is also being moved a lot. So all of a sudden it will be down, and all of a sudden it will be back up, and all of a sudden it will be back down, and then we are kind of creating, by necessity, we're creating the different backup systems around the world. So we have literally started to map out the nodes of this beast that is going to just be living, you know. And that leads into our legacy fleet, the vans, and just a simple fucking battery-driven system that is able to use the technology, simple technology that we have today, to have something that has never been a thing before. And it all kind of circles back to the bonfire, because that's literally it. I'm trying to start a primary, a stationary location for a bonfire thing that we can have here in the community. Also, different places in the land in Norway, and also in different parts of the world, and also being able to pop up these bonfires wherever through the legacy van. And that just leads into a whole bunch of other things that we don't really have to go into right now. Although it's fucking fun because it's a literal adventure. So I'm sitting here and we have this, and everything is kind of not only up and running, but has been up and running for quite some time. I've been calling it different titles like the Witch's Cabin and the Ceremony Mountain events and all that stuff, but it's literally just a transformational gathering doing specific protocols, things that we now know based on what we have learned after I've done so for so many times over so many years. And here I am, fucking depleted. I'm depleted because I know, for some reason, because this is also not really confirmed, but it feels like it will not happen. Anything will not happen. It will not be sold, presented, shared, or any engagement whatsoever if I don't create the thing that is going to create the engagement. If I don't go and create videos, if I don't go create posts, if I don't go and talk to people, if I don't go and help people, coach people, sell things to people, build things for people, whatever the case may be. It has been so for some years, and the last year it has just been a reminder sometimes. In certain situations, it has just shown itself to repeat this pattern where if I don't, nothing happens. Like if I don't do the thing, things go completely dark. Then again, I don't know what's going on with the other people. I don't even have energy to communicate. That's why I'm making this video, so that I can get myself back up to that energy level and just be able to communicate again. Because it takes a fuck ton of energy to communicate with some people. Energy that I don't have. And that kind of sucks. So now here I'm sitting, completely energetically eradicated. And I feel like going back to the old ways of just robbing people or doing something easy. Because right now, all I have left to kind of make things right and balanced again, all I need, the only thing that is lacking, I feel, from my life right now, and I know there are many things that is going to be made clear as soon as this is taken care of and I can take the next step, but the fucking money. It's the fucking money. I've sold things that is just beyond me. And now, for some reason, I'm not able to do shit. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the fuck it is. There's also the whole, so many different events in such a short time span. So many huge, life-changing, insane, apocalyptic changes and events that has just left me with trying to come back after the blow. Sometimes people don't even realize that it happened. Sometimes their ignorance is just continuing as if nothing changed. While meanwhile, here I'm sitting, everything has changed, and I'm just trying to get to grips with what the fuck was that, Christmas was different this year. And I do believe that's probably just what I'm dealing with. It's the aftermath of all that shit. Because, objectively, we're in quite a good place. It's just that right now, practically, there are so many different stressors and fucking things. It's just, I feel so unnecessary. Because it's like on top of everything. So how much, you know? How much, really, are we going to deal with at the same time? Last few days I've just been longing to be completely alone and not just do anything. Nothing. When I do that, I can't stop my head from just being filled by all these solutions, I guess. Until the thing is fixed and done with, my mind will not stop obsessing of thinking out the solutions. Right now, there are so many fucking solutions already out there that it kind of boggles my mind that we haven't really kicked off into the new chapter. So here I'm like, should I fucking continue? Because how much do we have to create? Over how many years? We didn't choose the easiest route. Kind of glad for it as well. Nah, I'm gonna have to see if I can do something. Didn't work quite as I hoped, this whole video, but it did raise my energies a little bit because I'm all of a sudden I'm able to do something. I'm able to open my face. I'm gonna see where this day takes me because I haven't been able to just sit alone since the 20th. Almost 2 weeks where I haven't been able to just fucking chill out and be alone. That might have something to do with it. We're gonna see. Take care of freaking family.